Welcome to another episode of Spirit of an Athlete. I'm your host, Amanda Smith of Body Whisper Healing. And on this episode, I had Laura Ordile join me. She is a mindset mentor and master hypnotist. She's also a professional intuitive and astrologer and is certified in NLP. She uses all of these things with her people to help them tap into their own success, opening up their life quickly, easily, and completely. And a great side effect is that you get to hold on to your sanity and your soul as you go. And okay. On this episode, Laura talks about the big changes in life. As athletes, these big changes are maybe changing teams, like I did. The example you'll hear is me going from Division 1 softball to Division 2 softball. There's also quitting the sport altogether. And when we're making those big decisions, if we don't just allow that decision to flow through, sometimes it can anchor in our bodies like IBS, chronic fatigue, migraines. These are times when our body is giving us the signal and we're not listening. So Laura walks us through how to handle those, how to unwind those. And then she shares about using different modalities like talk therapy or hypnotism in order to move these big emotions that get stuck in our bodies. Hang on till the very end because she drops some major knowledge around what it's like to be in those situations and to use hypnosis to move through in ease and flow, which I could have used when I was in my Division 1 versus Division 2 conundrum. So I hope you enjoy this episode. Drop us a comment if you love it. Share it with others who might need to hear this episode on making a change in their athletic career. Laura Ordile, thank you so unbelievably much for coming on Spirit of an Athlete and talking to us today about how you help people through major life changes. And we're also going to touch on when to get talk therapy and when not to get talk therapy. So thank you for being here and walking us through that.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to have the chat. Definitely. I've been looking forward to this. So here we go.
Me too. This is our third time getting together. First time for you on my podcast. I'm going to be on your podcast. And we were on another podcast together, and that's where this kind of all kicked off. I'll make sure to throw it in the show notes so everybody can watch us talk about some kind of difficult things and really share our opinions about how we navigate certain scenarios or how we see the world working on that podcast. And I knew right away, I was like, you know what? I need to have more on my podcast because what we're going to talk about today is something that players are struggling with. So, how in the world does a player decide it's time to quit their sport? That huge life change. And man, if I would have had you in my corner when I was trying to make this decision, it probably would have gone a whole lot smoother. So, walk us through that. What does that look like?
Well, I think that we all kind of have an innate intuition or a moment, we start thinking about that. But what happens when we start thinking about the change process is it starts to go in that direction and you're like, that would be interesting. That might be different. And it almost feels like, ooh, that would feel good. But then all the fear kicks in. All of the things that our wonderful imagination decides, oh my goodness, what are you talking about? We're not going to make change. That's too scary. And it takes you down that road of all of the worst case scenarios you can imagine if you make that change. And that is so, so common. So common. It's a little bit of the change process kind of follows a little bit of a direction. We have those moments, those thoughts that come in, and then we have that catalyst that happens. That thing that is like, okay, guess what? We're going to make a change. Whether that's an aha moment for people, especially in sports, it can be an injury. It can be that your body is telling you, we're not going to do this anymore. I'm tired. It could be something else where it's just not working out in the way that you want it to. You're not in the top percentages where you think you need to be to do what you want to do. And so then comes the fear. Then comes those moments of, oh no, what am I going to do if I don't do this? And am I a failure if I don't do this? And all of those things that come up. And then we start to have sometimes even those what I call pool sharks, those kind of fears, because they're irrational fears. I actually had a fear of sharks in the pool when I grew up because I grew up in Jaws era, in that movie era. And it didn't matter
Yeah.
what pool, what kind of water was there, there was going to be sharks in it, whether that made sense or not. And my body felt that fear. I could stand on a diving board looking at a pool and feel the immense fear of somehow, in some way, there was gonna be a shark in there. Was there gonna be a shark in there? No. Not unless somebody tossed one in 10 minutes before I got in the pool, but no, there was not gonna be a shark in the pool. But your body feels it. Your body because your mind is creating it. Your mind creates everything that goes on in your body, in this world, and all of it. And so there's that immense connection that goes there. But what happens is if you can get past that little point right there and keep going in the direction and hopefully have primed your mind, primed your subconscious for the change that you're making, you start to tip over into acceptance. And from acceptance comes momentum. And then you're really moving in that new direction. The key in that whole little scenario right there is if you can start back at the beginning when you have that very thought of, hmm, I might want to make a change. If you can go to your subconscious right there, right then, and start from there to make the change going forward, it's gonna be so much quicker, so much easier, and it's gonna be so much more effective in the way that you wanna make changes.
For athletes, it makes me wonder because I there were definitely times where I was just like, "Man, I really would it would just be easier if I quit." And then, of course, I was like, "No, no, no. I love this sport. I can't quit. There's no way." And there was a time when I finally did get to a point where I had to quit. I was being abused by the coaches. It was time for me to quit. It was time for me to go. If there's an athlete out there that is questioning, like, "Mm, is this for me or isn't this for me?" What's a good way for them to really sit with it? What should they be doing to get a clearer answer in the moment?
My first response is actually to tap into their own intuition. That might not be the answer that you were looking for, but that is the one that I think is gonna make a huge difference. The way that I view intuition a little bit is there's all this information out in the world, in the universe that's there. E Everything, all the information is out there, and then we have this wonderful thing in our mind called the subconscious, which is like the gateway. It's the gateway of that information that can come into us, and then we have our intuition. The subconscious activates our intuition to say, "I have information for you." And I always say it's our first sense, not our sixth sense. And when you go to that intuition and you're asking the right questions, you're gonna have the senses kick in, the other senses. You might hear something consistently. You might see something that says, you can ask for a sign and use your intuition and say, "I really need a sign," and it will show up. It really will. I've tested this umpteen times, and it happens every time. And and if you say, "I really need a clear-cut sign as to what to do," and you can choose the sign. Say, "I need to see a purple feather for a yes," or "I need to see a, green frog for a no," or whatever it is for you, you can do that. And I know that all sounds really kind of woo, but if you tap inside yourself, and I think athletes really know their bodies so well. If they're paying attention, they know, and their bodies will give them the answer. If you're sitting thinking about, I need to make a change, I really feel like I need to get out of this sport. and you feel inside your body, oh, it's like shackles off, like the shackles come off, and you feel that difference when you just simply say that to yourself. Before the next moment that kicks in, which is probably going to be, like I said, fear, angst, all that. But in that specific moment, if you feel that relief, big sign. If you feel the, oh gosh, the tightness or that's probably saying, maybe not. That's a no, probably, in your body. Your body will answer you every time. And when you take even just that moment, and it's not about thinking, it's not about analyzing, it's not about pros and cons. It's simply about that moment, that reaction that says, hmm, what do I do next? And I'll tell you what, if you can't do that, if you're in the space where you're like, I can't answer this for myself, absolutely find somebody to work with that can work with you, that can do that, that can help you see, hey, if you choose to go down road A, here's what it's going to look like for you. Or if you choose to go down road B, here's what life's going to look like for you. When you can have a little bit of an idea of what the adventure ahead is going to look like, you can make choices based on that. And it's always your choice. Never let anyone, even if you go to an intuitive or someone like that, they don't make the choices for you. You do. You make those choices, but they can help you look ahead a little bit to see what's there. And also, if you're struggling with particular reasons as to why you're not going to quit or why you're not going to do something, if it is because you would feel like a failure, if it is because you have these expectations inside yourself from you, from your family, from your coaches, from all these people around you, and you feel that, if you're feeling all of those things, and I'm going to say that's got to kind of take up the anxiety a little bit, then I'm going to say, go to the subconscious right there. Go to the subconscious and clear all of that. Clear the old way of doing things, the old way of making decisions, the old way of putting your life and your expectations into play. Because the way that our subconscious works is it's a little bit like a hard drive. And we have that put into place when we're tiny. And a lot of athletes start when they're tiny. And so you have this programming inside your brain that says, here's how we're going to do this, and here's how we're going to go about our business. And so sometimes, just like on your computer hard drive, you have files inside files where you don't even remember what that was. And it might not be serving you any longer. So if you go in at the subconscious level, you can hit delete on some of those files that you no longer need, that are not serving you. And you can bring in and amplify the things that you do need, like clarity, like confidence, like motivation. And when I say motivation, I'm talking about not motivation to win or to do the thing. It's motivation to find the path that you want to find. And when you do that, all of these doors start to open in ways that you couldn't have even imagined, because you've cleared the way, you've cleared the clutter, and it's going to bring forth for you now a path ahead that is ready for you, ready for you to make decisions in a way that you've never made before, maybe in your life, in ways that are going to serve you and your soul and your body and your mind in ways that don't have all of the little things connected to it that were there before. Does that make sense?
Oh, that totally makes sense. So I want to anchor this in a story. What you were saying is your subconscious is really, for athletes, a lot of the times it's a feeling in the body. I felt like in my situation, it was the transition from Division I college softball to Division II college softball. In Division I college softball, I had already got a bunch of signs, and it was really like I had to be bludgeoned over the top of the head in order to really get the message that it was time to go. And it would have been so much easier for me to really sit with myself, which is hard to do as an athlete because we're constantly with our teams if you're a team sport athlete, or you're constantly with your coaches if you're an individual sport athlete, but you're constantly with other people. So taking the time to sit by myself and be able to really get in touch with how it was feeling in my body about being at the school I was at, with the coaches I was with the teammates. And that was the thing. I loved my teammates and I couldn't imagine leaving my teammates. But at the same time, the coaches were not treating me well. The school was not serving me in the way that I needed. Those were the signs, if I would have sat with it, to go, okay, it's time to make a change. Then when I did make the change, I made a drastic change. I went from living in Illinois, going to a school in Illinois, to going to Colorado, living in Colorado, away from all of my family, away from all of the stresses that I was under when I was in Illinois, playing Division 2 softball, which is a little bit easier than playing Division 1 softball as far as number of hours. Oh, and in my body, I could feel just like this, oh, this is going to be easier. And it was. It totally was. And I just wish that I would have found ease in seeing the signs that it was time to go. So if there is anything that I could wish for my listeners, for my viewers, is try to find ease when you're making change. Find the ease so that you don't have to be bludgeoned over the top of the head like I was, or the legs, to have to make a change. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes, yes, and I was in a similar situation, but I had to get out of a situation, and I was in the process of it. Actually, it had gotten to the point where it was kind of forcing to be out, and I panicked, and I was like, "Oh, no, what am I doing?" And I had the unknown ahead of me, and it was very scary, and it stopped the wheels from turning right there. It stopped it. And it did not go well from there. It got worse because I was supposed to leave that situation. It was going to kind of end one way or another. So it was either going to end really difficultly or I was going to find a way. Eventually I did, yes, finally go, okay. But I could have saved myself a lot of difficulty if I had listened and not panicked and not fed into the fear. And if I'd known at the time what was happening, I could have channeled it in a different way. I could have moved that energy because oftentimes we're able to move past fear into, if not excitement, interest. If we can go, ooh, that's interesting when those feelings come up, we can often stop it from funneling fully into fear. We can go, ooh, is that exciting? Is that interesting? That's different. What is that about? And when you can kind of acknowledge and be aware of those things, it can lead you down a path that's so much easier than fear, anxiety, discomfort. It just is. And it's so simple and so easy. And we just don't do it because we don't know to do it. We don't recognize in the moment. That's how we've always gone. That's the habit that we're in. We don't know to stop it at that moment and go, hey, 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 let's not go there. Let's do something different.
In those instances, and this happened to me, trying to make the decision to quit Division 1 and then transitioning into Division 2, I as soon as I was done, I quit. All of the fear, the anxiety, the stress of that created IBS, GERD. I was dealing with a boatload of physical manifestations of this stress that I had built up over time at being in something that I wasn't supposed to be in. Is that something that you see with your clients?
Oh my goodness, all the time. All the time I deal with people. And here's another little explanation that I want people to understand about the subconscious too that can happen as well. Is as I said, we build that foundation from the time we're tiny. And but what happens also too is as we go through life, we have these little anchor points throughout life. And they can be difficult ones. And it might be when you're like a year old, a year and a half old. I've had people younger that when they were babies, these anchors happen. But let's say you're a year and a half old and your parents have this big argument. You're going to have a moment inside yourself that goes, oh no. And your subconscious, whose absolute number one job is to keep you safe, is going to create a way to keep you safe in that moment. And so what happens is it almost creates like another little version of you that says, I've got you. I've got you. And it comes out and it handles the situation, lets you get through it, and you move on. And then maybe you're 7 years old and you're in school and you get bullied or you have an incident or something happens. another little tiny version of you. It's okay, I've got you. And you get to move forward. So we've got all these little tiny versions of us. And think of like the little dolls that fit inside of each other, the Russian dolls, that come together. That's us. We have all these little tiny versions of ourselves, however old you are, inside of you. And what happens sometimes, two things can happen. One thing, you've at whatever point in that life when one of those was created, you've created something inside yourself that's going to continue throughout life. Maybe it's anxiety, maybe it's anger, maybe it's something else that's there. You pull inside yourself and hide. Maybe that's what it is. But that can happen, and that's just kind of how you deal with things throughout life. Or somewhere along the line, something happens, maybe a decision like that happens, and there's something that snaps and flips, and now you're dealing with something that you haven't dealt with in life. Anxiety, stress, a physical issue, chronic fatigue, migraines, IBS, all kinds of things can be created. So whether that was created somewhere early in life or at this point now. But what is happening is your subconscious is saying, enough. We've got to deal with some stuff. We've got some things. It's a lot like a puppy. When you have a puppy and it comes up and it wants attention and wants attention, wants attention, and you don't give it attention, it runs off,
Mhm.
chews up your shoes, pees on your carpet.
Mhm.
It doesn't go well. It does all the bad things. But if you give it attention, you've got this lifelong friend right there with you. Everything goes smoothly, everything goes well. And that's what's going on with your subconscious is it wants attention. And it's not going to really bring nice things to you until you give it attention. Another way to look at it is if you think about one of those little versions of yourself, like let's say the teenage version, we all know, having been one, how cranky and irritable and if they want something or don't want something, they're going to do whatever they can do. Now think of that version of yourself in charge in your brain, in your subconscious. It's going to throw all
Mhm.
kinds of things at you, physical, mental, emotional, all of those things. And yes, it can do it physically. Think about it because your subconscious runs your body. You're breathing right now. We're talking. I'm moving my hands because my subconscious is doing it. It's in charge. It balances your hormones. It creates the fear hormone, the happy hormone, all of those things. And so when it's in charge up there and it wants your attention to say, I've got this little niggling thing down deep inside that we need to clear, it's going to keep doing what it can, like IBS, like all of these things. But if you go in and you dig out that little sliver, that little root that's down there, everything goes away. All of the things clear. I have had people with really intense, deep, difficult PTS type symptoms clear all of them in 6 weeks. 6 weeks because we went down and dug that little sliver out and got that out. The emotional stuff's gone, the physical stuff is gone. They're able to rejuvenate their body, like IBS especially. That's a really big one. And hypnosis is really good at clearing IBS. I know several people that simply that's who they work with. They work with people with IBS and it goes away. So it's pretty dang incredible to have that happen with people and to see that big change kind of come in. Because if your body is not working in the way that it should be, it's telling you something. It's giving you
Mhm.
information. It might be coming from your mind. It might be coming from your subconscious that says, we've got some stuff to deal with. We've got some files to delete. We've got some things we need to boost. And so if you feel those things, then I would say definitely do a little check-in and see what can be done and what can happen and just have a chat about it with someone. It can make the difference for the rest of your life going forward.
Okay, so that's the perfect segue because you brought up hypnosis around one of the potential modalities of someone getting help to get out of their physical situation or even their mental situation. So When it comes to talk therapy, so this is the kind of psychologist, psychiatrist therapy that we see most common. And it's generally the thing that athletes are pushed toward is go do talk therapy so that you can work with someone around getting through a tough situation, like a big change, quitting the sport, or making a big change like I did from Division 1 to Division 2, getting out of an ugly situation and into a better one, or at least hopefully into a better one. When is it right for talk therapy and when is it right for other therapies?
Talk therapy is great when you need someone to talk to, when you need a viewpoint from someone maybe outside of your own circle, or if you need it to as a third person, if you are having relationship issues, whether that's a parent-child relationship, a romantic relationship, even a coach client relationship. If you need someone to hear both sides and help you guys work together, that's great. That's talk therapy. And everyone sometimes needs someone to talk to. Absolutely. I would always say, I've done it and I needed someone to talk to. I needed someone to have that. However, if you are struggling with issues that I'm going to say you need to get to the bottom of, or you need to learn to deal with, a lot of people will say that that's something you're going to have. You need to learn to deal with that. That's not true. I'm going to say that's not true 99.9% of the time. You don't have to go climb the mountain of psychoanalysis or talk therapy or anything and inch by inch claw your way through and repeat 72 times about the situation that you dealt with or the trauma that you had or trying to dig up the trauma that maybe they think you had. Hypnosis is like the little magic doorway that goes in a tunnel under that mountain. It goes right under it, right to the other side where you need to be. That's what hypnosis does. It goes right in, it takes care of it. You don't have to talk about all of the stuff that maybe you don't want to talk about. Maybe it's all of those things going on inside yourself, the fear, the imposter syndrome, whatever it is, the struggle that's happening. Maybe it's not something that you really want to talk about, but you know that there's something holding you back. That's where hypnosis comes in. It goes in and it takes care of it. I mean, literally, I say weeks, but I'm talking about an hour, hour and a half a week. I have new ways that I'm putting in play where it's 2 days, 2 with 3.5-hour sessions. I actually can do it in 1 day. I haven't done that yet, but it's something I'm looking at and studying with some of the other people that are doing it. So in one maybe full, deep 10-hour day, it can all be done. The IBS can be cleared. The chronic fatigue can be cleared. The huge stress and anxiety that you have anchored in there can be cleared. So instead of years of talking to someone, you go in and hours, literally, you're on the other side of it. And things are different from that point forward. You have that new 0 point. You start from there. And when you can start from there without all the other crud of the past, of all of the mixed up emotions and feelings and all of those things, and you just have this clear view. It's like coming out of the fog and going, "Oh my goodness, I didn't know that there were so many roads ahead, and I can take whichever one I want." And you feel good about it. You feel good about choosing the road. It's like, I'm really excited and happy and determined to keep doing what I'm doing. Or it's like, you know what? I'm really happy with what I've done and I can see a different road that I want to take now. That's what opens up for you during that process instead of the wallowing and the frustration and the irritation and the back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, where you
Mhm.
go and you sit in talk therapy and you have this whole conversation for 45, 50 minutes, and you feel like, "Okay, I said all the things that I think, what now what? I still don't know what to do. I still have the anxiety inside of me." And they're telling me, "Well, it's gonna take time," or "We'll find you coping mechanisms," or, all of those things. And I happen to believe very differently. When I see people that are told, "You're gonna be like this forever, so figure it out. Figure out how to deal with life,"
Mm,
it annoys me. It upsets me because you don't
mhm,
have to be that way. You don't have to live with that forever. Most of the time. I mean, there's things, yes, you might have to live with forever, but I'm talking about really OCD. I know people have been told you're not ever going to heal from that. You just got to deal with that. Chronic fatigue, you're never going to heal. You're just going to have to manage it. IBS is a big one.
mhm.
Well, you just have to manage the symptoms, do the best you can. All of those things. And it's just not true. It's simply not the truth. So,
I completely agree. When it comes to hypnosis, it's interesting because I've been one of those people that's like, no, there's some resistance there. And then I'm like, no, it makes sense. And I feel like for me personally, when it comes to hearing you talk about hypnosis, you're really bypassing all of the emotions that come up, right? We're skipping all of the human responses and we're just getting straight to the root of the thing that happened and then clearing it up. And in some instances for me, I'm like, oh yeah, that would be really nice to be able to do that. And then in other instances, I'm like, no, I kind of feel like I need certain lessons. And then this takes me back to why did it take you so long to make the decision to leave Division One sport, right? Why did you need to get bludgeoned over the top of the head in order to see the sign? And it's because for me, I feel I have to have the certain lessons because if I bypass that learning, I won't be able to draw upon it again when I need it. Is that a falsehood?
hypnosis does not bypass the learning. And just because you don't go through traumatic emotions doesn't mean that you're not learning something. And let me put this really very bluntly too. I'm not going to say that you're never going to have anxiety again. I'm not going to say that you're never going to have a moment again because it's not, I don't want to take away your emotions. We are meant to live with our emotions in this life. However, we are meant to experience them in a way that most people don't understand. We're supposed to have our emotions flow through us and move through us. We are not supposed to have them settle within us and stick around and stay for the duration.
Hmm.
We're on a little bit of a roller coaster ride in this life. And when we're stuck at the bottom of one of those little dips and we're just sinking in the emotion, we're not going to move forward. We don't have the momentum to be doing what we want to do. We don't have the ability to be in that moment of, oh, wow, when you're on that roller coaster and you're in that exciting moment. You have that moment of trepidation. Oh, this is kind of scary. Oh my gosh, what's coming? You have that, you experience that, but then it's gone. Wow. You move into the joy, you move into that. And then there's the relief. Oh my goodness, that was interesting. We have that whole roll of emotions and we're meant to. Never ever do I want to take those away from anyone. And the thing with it is, I want to unpin the anchors of difficulty, I guess I would say, that are in life.
Hmm.
So you never lose what happened. I mean, there's ways to do that. I'm going to say there is a way if it was so bad, so horrible that you really didn't want to remember something. There's ways to do a little bit of a forget in there, but I thankfully have never had to do that. Our minds kind of take care of us in that anyway. But
Hmm.
we go in and say, oh my goodness, let's not attach the huge emotion to that moment of let's say just with fear of flying, I'm just going to use that as an example. You had this huge moment in a plane. Oh my gosh, turbulence, bad experience, all that created a fear of flying. So what happens is you carry that forward and your subconscious goes, "Oh, flying? No, no, that was bad. We don't want to do that." So the fear starts, it's going to try and stop you from doing that. So it's going to go, no, no, we don't want to do that and bring up any way that it can stop you. But we go back and go, hmm, that experience did happen, but we don't need to anchor in the fear of it so that you can go ahead and go forward in your life, go on the airplane, do the thing, all of that. You still remember that it was a bad flight, that it was not great, but it doesn't all of a sudden go, "Oh my gosh, I need to protect you." And, your brain goes, "Oh, oh, okay. All right." It's that simple.
That is so beautiful, Laura. Like that that speaks to depression, right? You talked about the dip and how big emotions get stuck in us and we can't get out of that depression when really all we have to do is walk forward. Oh, yes. Holy cow. Okay, that landed beautifully for me. I am certain that landed beautifully for the listeners. Woo! Thank you for that. That was a gem of a knowledge drop. Laura, how in the world can people reach out to you, get your help, and where can they find you on the interwebs?
They can find me a little bit everywhere and mostly under my name. It looks like Laura Ordile. It's Laura Ordile. It's LauraOrdile. And that's my website, lauraordile.com. That's where I'm at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And as mentioned, I have a podcast as well. That one is actually under The Change Gang. And I have a group on Facebook called The Change Gang that is absolutely free. You're welcome to come hang out with me anytime. So there you go.
I'm in that group already, and I'm going to be on your podcast here soon. So can't wait to talk change with you also. Ah, Laura, thank you so unbelievably much for helping us understand what it's like to go through big change, especially as an athlete, and how to navigate it after you've made the decisions, or how to navigate it if pain and suffering has started to eke into your body, like IBS, chronic fatigue, migraines, things like that. So thank you so unbelievably much for that.
You are so welcome. I hope it's helpful.
Definitely. And you guys, you can find all of her information in the show notes. Reach out to her if she is calling to you, like she is for me.
Thanks for listening to Spirit of an Athlete podcast. If you're struggling with your own gut issues and want more direction, you can get an initial body scan from Amanda at bodywhisperhealing.com. In 20 minutes, you can find out what's wrong, get clarity, map a path forward, and get on track to get back in your game. If this episode hits the spot, please let us know by rating, reviewing, and sharing it with a friend. Subscribe now to hear more inspiring stories from other female college athletes who overcame their health issues. Want more, Amanda? Get inspired by finding more at bodywhisperhealing.com.